Hey, welcome to Craft Beer Review. Tonight I'm going to be talking about my second attempt at a German Altbier. Looks very nice. That aroma is good. Very nice, dark amber, copper colored. Almost looks like a brown. I love that aroma. I really love that aroma. It's a nice malty aroma with some hop earthiness in it. All right, that's nice off-white head on top. I just poured this, so let's set that right there. And let's talk about the recipe real quick. Like I said, this is my second attempt at a German alt beer. I did make several changes to the malt bill. I went from 6 pounds of Vienna malt to 6.5. I went from 1.5 pounds of light Munich to 2 pounds of Munich 2. I decreased the Crystal 40 from 1 pound to half a pound. I added in half a pound of Victory malt, and I still used 2 ounces of chocolate malt, just for some color. And this does have nice amber, reddish brown color. This beer at this point is about 3 weeks old, so I think it's just starting to peak. The aroma is that smells good. I can't wait to try that. All right, in this second attempt, I did change up the hops as well. The first batch I used Centennial and Willamette because that's what I had on hand. Both of them are American hops. Well, for this batch, I used half an ounce of Magnum for the full boil and 1 ounce of German Tettnang with 15 minutes remaining as a flavor addition. Obviously, just from smelling it, I am getting a little bit of that Tettnang in the aroma, along with just like a malty type aroma, and it smells good. So that's very nice. I'm very pleased with that. Let's see. My original gravity for this was 1050. My final gravity was 1011, which gives this a 5.1% alcohol beer. This beer, let's see, I did decrease the IBUs on this. The first batch was closer to 45 IBUs, yeah, and this batch I decreased it down to about 32. My first go, it was the bitterness ratio on it was very high, was about 0.932. I mean, that's like IPA territory in terms of bitterness. This one, although it was really offset by the malt flavors, I will say that this one is a little bit lower. My bitterness ratio on this one, again, bitterness ratio is really your IBUs divided by your starting gravity, or in this case, my bitterness, my IBUs was 32.3. My original gravity was 1050. So I take that 32.3, divide it by 50, and that gives you your bitterness ratio. My bitterness ratio for this one was about 0.65. So that's significantly less than the first go around. So this one should be less bitter, but it still has some hop character. I mean, 0.6 still leans on the bitter side. For my mash, I did mash this at about 148 degrees. So this is a lighter bodied mash. I mashed it at 148 degrees for about 60 minutes. All right, let's see. Oh yes, and I did use the same ale yeast. I use Safale's K97, which is a German ale yeast. I use that for the first batch, this batch, and I've used it for my previous Kolsch batches. It's another type of German ale. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different types of malts in this one, with Vienna malt and Munich 2 as the base malts. Again, the specialty grains were Crystal 40, Victory, with a touch of chocolate malt for color. Anything else to talk about as far as the recipe? I'll put the recipe in the description. If anyone has any questions, comments, please let me know what you think. Any suggestions for improvement, let me know. Let me know what you like in a German alt beer. I'm really looking to refine my recipes and see what other people think. Let's see. For the color on this, the recipe said about 12.2 SRM. That seems about right. I think this beer, I did not add anything to clarify this beer, and I can just barely see my fingers through it, so I think it looks a little dark because it's got a little bit of haze to it still. I have a feeling the longer I let it sit in the keg, the more clear it will become. I usually don't add anything in to clarify my beers. I'm usually not concerned about it unless I'm making like a Pilsner or a Kolsch or some sort of light beer that's supposed to be very clear. Oh, wow. I'm very pleased with that aroma. Nice malty, earthy aroma. Get some malt character and hop character in there. All right. Cheers. Oh, that's good. Ooh. All right, first impressions. Well, before I mention what my first impressions are, I want to read the style profile from the 2015 BJCP style guidelines. And they describe a German alt beer as a well-balanced, well-attenuated, bitter yet malty, clean and smooth amber to copper colored German beer. Bitterness is balanced by the malt richness, but the malt intensity and character can range from moderate to high. The bitterness increases with the malt richness. Now, the traditional style of beer from Dusseldorf. Alt refers to the old style of brewing, i.e. top fermenting ale yeast, as opposed to bottom fermenting lager yeast. All right, first impressions. Oh, nice malt character. Again, it still leans bitter, but it's not overly bitter. And it's got a nice earthy, spicy hop flavor to it. So it's got some hop bitterness, not a lot, just a little bit, but it's also got hop flavor. And it's the hop flavor that I really like, that I typically enjoy in a Marzen or a Vienna lager. Oftentimes, in my mind, I often think of a German alt beer as being similar to a Marzen or a Vienna lager. Just, obviously different types of yeast, but oh, that's nice. I know oftentimes I see on the internet people make like kind of they want to make a quick Marzen for the season and they end up using ale yeast, and what they're really making is a nice German alt beer, although maybe a little bit stronger. Because let's see, German alt beer, according to the style guidelines, the usually has a slightly less alcohol than a Marzen. You know, ranges from 4.3 up to 5.5. This one again is 5.1, well within the range. Although you do see Marzens these days that sometimes have the lower alcohol. That smells nice. That is a nice beer. Nice and malty. Touch of toasted malt character, probably from the Munich 2 and the Victory. Very smooth, clean finish. Nice hop, earthy spiciness. I'm very pleased with this beer. My son will be very pleased with it, even though he's far too young to drink. He helped me design the recipe. Oh, this is good beer. This is a good beer. I would buy this beer. I would buy a 6-pack of it if it was a commercial beer. If I had to rate this, typically when I'm rating beers, I do it on a 5-star scale with my cutoff for if I wanted to buy a beer, a 6-pack of a beer, I'd want to rate it at 3.5 stars minimum or higher. I would rate this beer at about 3.75 stars. This is a nice, enjoyable beer. It's going down quick too. It's smooth. It's got nice malty flavor, nice hop character that's kind of low to moderate in intensity. So it just provides some complexity to it. A touch of toasted malt character, but just like a nice malty base. That's a nice campfire beer. Oh, I will enjoy this beer. Hopefully, I'm not sure how much I have left. I went to make a 5-gallon batch, and when I was sparging, my equipment fell back into the wort and splashed a bunch of it all over the floor. So my 5-gallon batch got decreased by a brewing accident. I think I ended up getting maybe 4 gallons out of it. But, oh well. Things happen. What are you going to do? I'll just have to make another batch. This is very good. I can't think of any changes I would make to this. This is a nice... It's really got a light to medium bodied mouthfeel. I mean, it's got a decent amount of flavor to it. Nice. I like the balance of malt to hop character of this. It really came out well. Well, all right. I'm going to stop rambling on, and I'm going to go get myself another one. Cheers.